Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the financial services meeting to order. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Mi'kmaq, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. The first thing tonight is the approval of the agenda. Okay, so moving seconded. Go ahead, Councillor Boyles.
Yes, I just wondered if we could put on the agenda tonight the Climate Change Advisory Committee has talked overhead of this gentleman joined the committee, and he's well equipped and well knowledge to deal with his name is Richard Williams. Just wondering if we could get on the agenda to get it passed tonight so we can get him on some committees.
Is the mover and seconder okay with that? Seconder? Okay, and then on. Okay, perfect. All right, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Don't you mind it, nay? Motion carried. We're gonna call that 8E, by the way. Yes, go ahead, Councilor.
Reading the agenda, but I think it's about that the county should send some correspondence to the families with organized. He was the Minister of Transportation, and he did a lot to help get the Springwood Bridge and the Eureka Bridge and different things done in the county. Years ago, when I was in county, the first behind was the president of the association, and there'd be hundreds of these councillors followed him, and they commission to play more dinners and different things years ago. And anything I heard about it, he worked hard for his people down there. So I think it'd be only right that Pitt County sends part of the goals for that. Thank you.
I noticed there's no community announcements tonight on our agenda. Just notice that now. Okay. Okay, so Councilor Brewer, if it would be okay with you, usually we have community announcements at the end of our second meeting, so that would be the property. Would that be okay to deal with that there tonight since the agenda is already?
Me, I just wanted to bring it up.
Okay, so maybe that'll be something we can bring up with the property services again to conserve the things that are in the past.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there any emergency resolutions? Any emergency resolutions? Is there any emergency resolutions? Seeing none, we'll move on. Is there any errors, omissions, corrections to the minutes of August 21st, 2023? Any errors, omissions, corrections to the minutes? Last time, is there any errors, omissions, or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, we'll consider these minutes approved. First, we have number 5, the correspondence that is well circulated. We received 2 thank you cards. The first was from Riverview Volunteer Association for the MOPC grant, and the second one was a thank you from Isaac Green, the North Nova Education Center graduation bursary recipient. Then we have correspondence that has been circulated in our package. The first was a Nova Scotia Power's response to a letter asking about coal-fired generator units converting to heavy fuel. The second was Municipality of East Hants' response to roads and proposed municipal service exchange. And the third was the letter and photos from Rick Curry regarding sidewalks in MOPC. Is there any, if you want to make any remarks or comments on any of those? Go ahead to Board Member.
On the first one, I'll show the fire response. Letter at coal fired generator units converted to bunker C oil or heavy fuel. I didn't see anything in there that said that they weren't going to do that. They talked about various other things that they're going to do, but I didn't see a clear statement that they. I thought when they were here that night, well, they certainly heard that we didn't want it. I think that bunker C oil, which is as bad as the coal, pretty well. But what I saw lacking in the response was any firm commitment not to do it. It just kind of skated around it, I guess, in my opinion. And on the second one, municipality East Hants, and we've also received correspondence, I think, from Kings County, similar on the roads, and I think general agreement for most rural municipalities that this is a bad thing for those rural municipalities. I haven't heard, ask this through you, Madam Chair, or CEO, if it was supposed to be after all the meetings held kind of early in August, so we could get it to fall legislature, a document called What We Heard from those consultations. It's getting kind of late for that to come out, if we're also going to make the fall session, which is what they wanted to do. I think our response as a municipality at this point is dependent on where that roads issue is in that What We Heard document. So you know if we're very in it. We're, in the latter half of September now, if they're going to do anything, or to put that report out. I think that was the agreement was that at the end of all of those consultations in August to do that. So just a couple of comments, Madam Chair, on those two. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Board Parker. Councilor Parker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In regards to the response from Nova Scotia Power, I specifically note that it said potential fuel conversion to HFO stands for heavy fuel oil, MOPC. It's just one small piece of the puzzle. It is an option being considered. On state process and so on and so forth. I am going to ask on that we send a letter to the UARD, who's their boss, indicating that residents of the county of Pictou are strongly opposed to burning coal, heavy fuel oil at our friend Devon.
I'll second that.
We're just going to step sideways. We work hard to get windmills here to try to reduce our need for fossil fuels, and they're literally sidestep. Coal and heavy fuel, really no significant difference in the amount of emissions from those three. That is my motion. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to write a letter to the UARB concerning the response we got from Nova Scotia Power and heavy fuel possible conversion. Is there any other comments or questions on this motion? Yes, go ahead, Councilor Wyman.
We see this facing to the motion. He's aware it's going there.
But I didn't catch on.
Councilor Wyman would like it, propose the letter be CC to gentleman that sent us the letter. And yeah. Dave Pickles, yes. Secretary, you're okay with that?
And the May also to the Honorable Tim Holland,
Okay, any other final questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on to reports. First, we have the Recreation and MPAL report. What is your pleasure, councillors? Okay, moved by Councillor Butler. Seconded by Councillor Elliott. Any questions or comments on this? I guess this month, it's August report for Recreation and MPAL. Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary-minded, nay. Motion carried. Next, we have the communication report for the month of August. Moved by Councillor Connor. Councillor One? Yes, seconded by Councillor One. Any questions or comments concerning the communications report? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay. Motion carried. Next, we have the emergency services report
So,
for the month of August. It's been moved by Councilor Boyle, seconded by Councilor Parker. Any questions or comments? I will say that, Evan, I think you had a viral photo there with the tree on fire on the line, and appreciate you sharing that and bringing awareness. I don't know if Councilor saw it or not, but it was a picture of a tree with down power lines, and they were sparkling in the tree caught. So appreciate you for your education there. Any questions or comments on the emergency services report? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay. Motion carried. Next, we have the fire inspector's report by Councilor Palmer, seconded by Councilor Elliott. Any questions or comments on Councilor One?
Just the other line items that were there in the previous report, have they all been set lines?
Yeah, thanks for the question there, but yeah, anything done on that list has either been re-inspected and rectified or close.
Any other questions or comments on the fire inspector's report? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay. Motion carried. Next, we have the warden's report for the month of August. Moved by Councilor Dewar, seconded by Councilor Boyles. Questions or comments? Or did you want to speak?
No, I'm good.
You're good? I've heard those words. All right, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. And contrary nay, motion carried. Next, we have the municipal audit committee report. Councilor White, do you want to speak on that, or over first? Are you over first? Okay, it's been moved by Councilor, seconded by Councilor Parker. Yeah, go ahead.
Just I hope everyone had a chance to read over just their what we did. I think it's really important. Audit committee perspective, that we get our financials and time to the profits, and that's not been happening. And it looks like it could be as March again this year, possibly February, and that is a concern. The one thing we have to remember is that the audit committee is not trying to make trouble for council, we're trying to protect us all. It is very important. The province is such that's the September 30th deadline. We should be trying to reach it. I know the internet is causing a problem, but also the discussion we had was about staffing, and so that is a huge concern. But again, we'll discuss again in another time. On the ask that we signed to Brian and work with him, maybe his team and take on to help him with that. The financial conditioning report, again, we don't want to see red in the report, and we do see that this year because of the deficit we are carrying. Internet program, again, it's $94,000. It's not our council per se, but that deficit, it is our internet program. But again, a red block is a red block to the province. And again, they walk in and shut us down with these red markers. So I don't think they're going to do that. I hope they wouldn't do that. But we're going to be looking at least 5 years of deficits on the internet program. So this year, I think well over $100,000. So somehow we have to decide whether we want to keep carrying that red mark, but that's not what the bill says, or we find a way to pay other parties or something like that. Again, that's a decision council that have to make. The other indicators, not so bad, we're able to explain that away. It's really a change in the tax base, and that is mostly caused by those. And the biggest thing we're working on with our audit committee are our tax bill letters. This is top priority for our committee, and we feel that the back taxes have got to be addressed. Have got to be looked at. What we're doing here by sending out the letters and trying to get a 2-year program, people to pay back their taxes. We will be looking at possibly $200,000 to everybody to the program. Then we would be looking at $200,000 a month over 2 years as we recoup that money from the unpaid taxes. That probably won't happen, but it would be nice to see quite a few of them make arrangements to get those back bills paid, and that's what we're trying to do. Is I mean, we can certainly use, and based on our budget this year, I think it's Although it's fitting that we have time to get in this collection of our past taxes. So that's about all that happened at the meeting. If anyone has any questions or concerns, there's Dave, myself, Darla, and we're listening to Wayne. We're all at the meeting, so showing one of us can answer your questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Watson, for the report. Councillor Thompson.
Madam Chair, just on the red indicator of 94,000 deficit, why would we take it out for our years when we have the world resolution years, X amount of millions? Why would we come up with our general revenue, our general? Our surplus, right? Sorry.
So we decide your council how to get it. Am I correct in that, right?
So we have short-term financing in place, which is meant for the capital construction on it, not the operating side. So it'll be a decision whether we allow or continue, because it will start after 3 years reducing down, but it'll take fun for it to.
This is an operating deficit.
Right, it's the operating. So
So we can carry that around for 105 years. And decide.
on a consolidated basis, which is what you report, municipalities in a surplus position. But on the internet fund, there is the $95,000 deficit for the province, and the indicators to reporting that you pull that out. So it's a deficit of, even though that's a total corporation or a surplus position, get that one. And it does stick out with all green, one yellow, which is the 3-year tax base is below the average as far as growth goes. And back over the last 3 years, the biggest change has been home and home. Commercial home has steadily declined over the last 3 years. This year, 23, 24, we actually did see the commercial level and actually increase a little bit. So when we get the indicator for 23, we'll see if we're still yellow. It's kind of fixes, I think it is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor McCullough.
Yes, Madam Chair, I first of all like to say that I'm pleased to see that you're addressing the outstanding tax bills. And my question, Councillor, one is the idea of sending out tax bills. Is that something? Is this something new, or has this been tried before?
No, I don't have those. It has been mentioned a lot. Get on the price.
No, it's not a new process. It's bringing the person back online to where it should be.
Okay, thank you. Ward Trevor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Concerned with the 94,000, the high-speed air operating deficit of the high-speed internet. We said from the first when we started down this road 6 or 7 years ago, this would be run as a separate business. It's under, we didn't set up a separate corporation or anything, but it would be run on its own. And therefore it wouldn't affect the tax rate for the general public. But it's quite common at the beginning of any business to run a deficit until you get up going. But I mean, we're just in the beginning stages here of getting the first few customers hooked on both wireless and by fiber, and so not unexpected for sure that you would have an operating deficit when you're first getting going. But I think that needs to somehow we need to find a way that shows clearly as part of the internet project and not part of our general finances. So in case it's that rate cover or whatever you don't want to see cover, because we can show, and it is shown in our business plan, that will disappear over the 3 years, and after 5 years and more, there'll be a surplus there instead of a deficit. But this is not something I don't think to wave a red flag about, because there's a deficit there to be fully expected. I think that the deficit for the first few years, you get everything up and running smoothly. So I think we need to look at ways to have that shown differently on our books, that it does show against the internet project, but certainly not taken out of the reserves, but also not showing against our our general council finances. I think some work has to be done to find the right way, I guess, or another way to show that, to keep it connected to the internet project, which I wouldn't expect it not to be in the red to start the first few years. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Warden Parker. Councillor Thompson.
Thanks. I've asked for a number of months and never got anywhere with it. Why are we not getting financial statements every month on the operation of this internet project? Similar to what we get for the wellness center, everybody makes a big hullabaloo when we have to write an operating check or deficit or whatever for the wellness center, but we have no compass on the internet project until we see our financial statements at the end of the year. There's nothing there to say that how much money did we make, what are our revenues, what are our expenses, and are we going forward this month or are we going back? I still don't understand why we can't get that information.
So we actually just got the model last week. And they're in the process of switching to a different accounting system, which will make it easier for us to extract that provide some quarterly updates. But we just literally met on Thursday to kind of go through where we're at now. So we'll distill that down. Make it try and make it as user friendly as can.
Just one more comment. I said it before, if we're going to operate this like a business or utility or whatever it is, we need to have books the same as we get books for everything else. And I just don't, that's what I'm looking for. If you can put it in the format of statements we get for other entities that we deal with, like the ERIC or the Wellness Center, I would be happy with that. But that's what I'm looking for. I want to know if we're going forward or backwards on a monthly basis. Like it's that simple. And how many customers we have, and what is the average toll that we're taking off of that fiber line and all that stuff. Because I have no compass on where this project's at. Compass on how much money we have burned through so far to get it up and running. And that's a concern for me.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Thompson. Any other final comments or questions? Talk about. Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary nay. Motion carried. Next, we'll move on to accounts paid for the month of August 2023. Yes, Councillor. Okay, moved by Councillor Waddon. Seconded by Council Parker. Moved and seconded. Open the floor up to questions. Go ahead, Council Parker.
Several actually, yeah.
Put your mic on, please.
Notice there's several people in there, even boss, this max, and I think there's a couple others putting in for mileage. And then, look at this. Yes. Are they using their own vehicles to travel? The internet project, this would be my question. That's why. I have a particular, it's check number 20883 to 3311876, Nova Scotia Limited, in the amount of $4,338.95. Is there any regards to that firm anyway? I'm just curious what that, I think it was legal work. But that particular claim is for the seven. It's 20883. It's a check number. Yeah.
Matters, which general matters, certificate project. Supposedly. That would be.
Yeah, I read the internet project, I read general matters, just curious who this company is that we had to do little work with the phone.
It may be in relation to a sewer backup.
Okay, and my final question is on the water utility. I need those for paying fines. Outside the Pecto, another director. Got to tell we pay 714 and 8. Pay $2,200 for fines, or do we pay $1,900? Check 24/7. What were the fines for? Will do. Yes,
Okay.
please, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. We were fined for missed deadlines and failure to adhere to directives from the Provincial Department of Environment and Climate Change. So specifically related to issues around the hillside wastewater collection system and
The
reporting, so late reports, late responses to reporting requirements that we have with the department, and also with regards to the Glasgow water system.
Thank you.
Council Wyden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I have a few too in the story. I didn't follow it. Okay, then just got to look at this second, which I didn't have a chance to call. But the first one I was looking at was 208 for the Fraser for a dash light. Peter Fraser for a dash light 20845.
Answer that. Okay. Services.
That dash light's in my vehicle, in my municipal vehicle.
Okay, is it a red light or a yellow light?
It's red, white.
Is that because just curious if I needed a red light or white light up?
So I use that light in particular for emergency calls within the Elma territory. I'm a deputy chief in Elma, so for a law, we run lights and sirens to call. The bigger reason behind having the lighting in the vehicle is just being on scenes and things like that. vehicles not get things parked inside the road, and things like that, so.
I understand that, and she's kind of concerned as to why it got to be paying for. That's the.
So the light is used in every emergency that I go to. But it's only used on the roadway when I'm in Elma because that's the only time I really want anybody over. But it's installed in the vehicle for when it's stopped on the side of the road, similar to like a yellow light flashing on the top of a utility truck sort of thing.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned that. Why we're paying for light. Anyways, that's fine. And like David had it about the 20883 for Stoughton Calvi and 20855, that's for fiber center facilities. I'm just wondering why these two checks were not in with the internet information so that we can see.
Because anything that we pay from our source that we pay checks from are our general checks. Anything that are paid electronically by digital equity are up under the electronic check. Okay. So, but when we pay it directly under general checks, it will say what it's for under the description, whether it's internet, whether it's whatever it's for.
So somewhere along the line, it's that it transferred over to the internet.
It's in charge to the internet project.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
20880 and 20923, both were for River John pickleball, and they're probably for the same thing, but I just wanted to make sure. One was $500 for donations, because I'm assuming they're taking, we're writing the
We
lease.
take the donations in and then we redirect them back.
Yeah.
Big charge.
So it's same the 2,400, that's for donations, it's just, okay, thank you. And we had two checks to Eastman, again, they were the
Checks, but
Eastman 20903.
we have Eastlink connections. We have an Eastlink connection at our wind tower,
Okay,
at our wind tower site, and then we have also in Eastlink. We have an Eastlink connection for our internet server project.
work for the internet project, yeah, and again, they were charged.
Yes.
20919, the Shell Hines. So I think it's for debt costs.
That would be for the job for ingredient.
Just as July reimbursed that bill.
We have a, we gave reimbursements on that cost, yeah.
Okay. And the last one was 20922 for the municipality, it depends on 508, it just didn't say why, so I just wondered what that bill is for.
Property taxes that we deduct from employees.
Okay, thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Wyman. Councillor Elliott? Thank you. I remember the situation where the dog attacked a human and her dog. Why was the municipality paying the vet bill on that? Wouldn't it be the responsibility of the dog that did the attack, the owner? I just don't understand why we would pay it. I'm naive, so I want to know in the future. Pardon? Okay, go ahead, Morgan.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Whether or not we pay for the vet bills typically depends on whether or not we're able to recoup the costs from the owners of the dog. So, and specifically on this dog, that would be the issue, whether or not costs. We've taken it to heart, and it requires vetting incentives to get that under eventually. Those costs.
So circumstances that the bylaw officer has apprehended the dog, and that's why that's on it.
Yes, we would, and again, I can look into the specifics of that, this particular dog, but the bylaw enforcement officer, if they go and get a dog, bring it back. They require vetting, we send it to the we're able to send the dog back to its owner, supposed to come. Typically get recoup that money.
Thanks. Warden Harper?
maybe I can clarify a little bit, just up the roof, where it happened in my district. And it was a little dog, got attacked by a Doberman. And when Rhonda was there walking the dog, actually, she was visiting here from Ontario. But it's not costing us any money. My understanding is that the lady who owned the Doberman paid, she reimbursed the county for that money that she wasn't going to pay for the damage that. But the county paid the bill and she paid the county's, my understanding. Talking to some people here, but also talking to the lady that was, she also got scratched, get up some herself, but they were more concerned about the little dog than her. But anyway, it's neat and everything. I think as far as we're concerned, she paid the bill. We were willing to pay that bill, but then we paid and she paid us.
We can't apprehend a dog and have it in our care if it needs veterinary care. Because if something were happened to the dog, if the animal needs care and it's in our possession, we have to provide the care. I just want to clarify why I asked. I don't want to ask, so if someone asks me that question, then I would know. It's not that you just send your vet bill here and get it looked after. Just wanted to know. Thanks. Thanks, brilliant. Any other final questions on the accounts paid for August 2023? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, nay.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, next we have the D-transfer tax, just for information purposes only. As you see, we're down a bit from last month, but it's the end of the summer, and that's to be expected. I'm sure things will be ramping up before the cold weather comes. Moving on to our taxes receivable report. Again, this is for information purposes only. As you see, tax bills went out last month. So our month-end receivable balance is obviously higher, significantly higher as we're starting to do rapid billing and collect those taxes for the year. Okay, next we're going to move on to 8 municipal service grants. The first one is we'll do these by district. District 4, Cape John Harbor Authority, in the amount of $1,800 for repairs and supplies. Moved by Councillor Dewar, seconded by Councillor Elliott. Any questions or comments on that municipal service grant? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All of those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, nay. Motion carried. Next, we have District 7, Forest Trail Cemetery, in the amount of $1,306.25 for cemetery maintenance. Moved by Councillor Parker. Second by Councillor Palmer. Any questions or comments on the District 7 municipal service grant? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, nay. Motion carried. District 11, we have 2. We have the Plymouth Fire Department, amount of $1,500 for equipment purchases, and the Sunnybrae Cemetery, amount of $400 for maintenance, for a total of $1,900.
Move. I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Dewar. Any questions or comments on those 2 municipal service grants for District 11? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carried. Next, we're going to deal with 8B, the Climate Change Committee, the additional committee member. Councillor Boyles wanted to place on the agenda this evening, so I'll turn that over to you.
Thank you. We'd like to have the appointment of Richard Williams to our Climate Advisory Board. I'm going to let the warden speak on his credentials and everything, as it went off my screen for some reason, but then the warden knows he's the one that has talked to him, so if you could explain.
Yeah, yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, the reason we requested this be added tonight rather than wait for, another month, we heard from one of our longtime committee members, Ed Kennedy from River Johns, that he needed more members on his subcommittee, which I forget to spell the action subcommittee. I think it is, but it deals with quite a number of high profile items, under the climate advisory committee. And he needed some more, talent, I guess we'll call it there, and the name of, Richard, but we call him generally Rick Williams, had come up at the previous meeting, well qualified, was a farmer for 25 years, a beef farmer. Before that, he, well educated, worked in the planning, field and whatnot for a number of years before, he went into beef farming. So, and he has expressed an interest with if being asked, he's expressed an interest to be on the climate change committee. Also, he said had a concern for his children and others in the future, you know, if we don't start doing more about climate change rather than just talking about it. So he's an excellent candidate, I think, and my brother Dave knows him as well. But so he would be a good addition to our committee, and that's the reason why it was sort of added. I'd rather wait for another month.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Councilor Watts.
I'll make a motion that he be accepted to our advisory board.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any questions? Yes, go ahead, Councilor Watts.
I guess that the good candidates are not doing that. My only concern is that we normally advertise these positions on this. He's going to sit on the advisory committee itself, or this is subcommittee.
No, he has to be on the advisory committee.
Yeah, advisory committee. And so we all are doing that, Brian, without posting that we need someone else on.
Can I answer that? We have turned around and put it out there, and we've been looking for people, and we had it out, just nobody has come forward until this gentleman, and we have another gentleman that wants to come forward too, and he's fighting to the next meeting. So, and then we will be putting his name forward, but it's been put out there. Nobody's been right on.
I just want to make sure that we.
Sometimes it can be hard to get people in on these committees, so if somebody's excited and want to come forward. Okay, any final questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, nay. Motion carried. Okay, next we have the tourism and marketing levy bylaw. We discussed this over the past month or so here at a few meetings. And I guess tonight our action is the decision of whether council is going to move ahead with the bylaw. So, so any remarks or I'll open the floor up to council. Go ahead, Councilor Elliott.
I guess I'm just going to state what I said before. I don't know why we use taxpayers' dollars to collect the levy to give a business association taxation powers. And where would it stop? Who else is going to come knocking on our door asking for the same thing and want the same treatment of us collecting a levy for them? And my question is also, why can't Deans provide their own membership? And ask the business if they want or require their service. The businesses and the individuals should say, and why shouldn't I guess with everything going on in this world and the economy, we should be trying to help the people, not implement more collection for them. I also am concerned for the little guys, small businesses, seasonal, and how will this impact them? So I have been an A from first discussion. I'm still an A. I cannot support this. I will remain an A. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Elliott. Councilor Boyles.
Yeah, I will be supporting this for the simple reason is that our organization Deeds has helped us a lot. They have through some stuff for us to help us out, and it seems that they're an organization like we see their galas and what they do and what they're doing for tourists and what they're, you know, I really think that that they should be given applause. I mean, Cindy and her people are really hard workers and really out there to help the community, and I think it's going to be better a lot of business owners and stuff like that in the long run, because instead of everybody and their dog looking for them stuff, they'd be able to go to deans and apply for deans for these grants and so I'd have to support the deans.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Wood. So,
I'll make a motion that we adopt the recommendation from deans to adopt a marketing levy. Second,
I'll second it.
okay,
I'll speak on it now. I'm a little puzzled by the opposition to this because it's not coming out of our taxpayers. The funding for this is going to come from the people that are using hotels now. And those people are not people that live in our county. They live all over the world. They come here to visit us, and this levy exists in other places. Deans needs to come up with some strategic funding to promote our county. Next thing we'll be talking about is how our tourism industry is declining. The other thing is that this is not a new concept, collecting levy or a tax. We do it now. We do it for our fire departments. Because we do that, we hand over the money to, these are all nonprofit organizations, the same as Deans, and it's no different. They use that money to operate the fire departments. This is no different. Deans needs money. Deans needs money to promote Victor County, and this is a great way for them to establish that. I haven't received any phone calls from any operators that think this is a terrible thing that's going to devastate the tourism business in Victor County. So I'm in full support of this.
okay, thank you, Councilor Thompson. Councilor Wyden?
Take the opportunity to speak to a bed and breakfast owner in the area. Certainly a call for this. In fact, he worked on the committee a few years ago and then it kind of got sidelined with COVID. And he's really happy to see it being reinstated again. It's an opportunity to collect money for marketing. If you ask the majority of our hotel or bed and breakfast owners, they will tell you people come to our area, they come to see Peggy's home because that's what the advertisement is out there, is Peggy's home. So when they come, in the case of the bed and breakfast down at home, they tell them about St. George, they tell them about the lavender farm, they tell them about all the different things, the beaches, Nowhere, the Caribou, Big Island, all the things that we have in this county that we're trying to promote because they don't get outside this county, but we really need that. I don't think any municipalities are willing to step up with $300,000+ to help with the marketing of tourism in this area. But our tax levy for the people that are coming to visit our area because they want to see what we have. They love coming here. Why don't we deny Deans the ability to do that? Like it just it makes good common sense that this is money that would be well spent on advertising our area. The one thing I was concerned about was registration for Airbnbs, that after speaking with the province, they are looking into some legislation to get more Airbnbs registered because they should be on the same playing field as the B&Bs and the hotels and motels, and I agree with that. But I know when I travel, we never look at that. We look at our hotel bill and the bottom line is what we pay as part of our vacation. We don't say, oh my gosh, I paid 2% for rapid tourism. We're down in that area on vacation because there's something we saw that we want to go visit the area and see. So it makes perfect sense that, that's the kind of stuff I want to see that. Also, they told us that if you have a local resident who have to pay the bills, unless something like a hospital stay or an emergency, but they'll be exempt. So we're not going to charge our local residents. It's to charge tourists coming into this province. I think we're in this county, and I think that's very important. And we talk about here at council about the lack of tourist bureaus, especially in the west side of this province, of this county. This will get information out there that we don't see anything, and they may not have a card tourist bureau, but they will have the information out there so people can know what it is they want them to see. And I just think it's an opportunity to get some more tourism into this county because just thought we have our commercial roads that are failing, going with reducing our commercial roads. So it's really important that maybe tourism is one way that we can get this going again. And so I really want to support this.
Thank you, Council One. Council Parker.
I have a couple of concerns. One is that they're asking us to collect it monthly, which is completely out of sync with our tax collection. We've got money to fire departments, school board, paying the RCMP bill. That's all within the current mechanisms that we have. Concerned that we have to set up a separate mechanism. Employee oversee this. We're not talking about any dollars here, that's not, it's only commercial accommodation within the county picked over now after my lodge is stolen in chalets. That amount. Talking about a small amount of money actually coming from the county. My concern about long and hard of this, I do not believe we should extend tax dollars to business associations. You open that can of worms, it could be in trouble. Therefore, I will do it.
Okay, thank you, Council Parker. Any other final comments or questions? Okay, hold on here. Just 1 second, Councilor Thompson. Councilor Elliott, did you?
Just wanted to clarify that it is the taxpayers' dollars, because someone within the East Valley will be doing this job. So it's going to create more work for the municipality, and that money is the taxpayers' money. My concern mainly, Victor County is very unique, and we have a lot of small private businesses, and I'm concerned that some of these businesses may find out once this is already in place, they should have a say. Businesses should have a choice.
Councilor Thompson?
Well, we collect money monthly on a monthly basis now through deed transfer tax. It hasn't become an onerous thing. And I just, the industry is asking for it. So I don't know, and the people that are going to be paying it are people from outside of Victor County. So I just don't see them. I don't get it. And other places are doing this now, larger places than us. So I'm in full support of this. It's a good proposal.
Councilor One.
Just to Councillor Parker's point, we do have more than one.
Point of order. The mover is called for a second time. The Bateman is told.
Okay.
Councilor Wyman is not going to speak the second time.
I never, is that the meal I was talking about, if we have an issue, we'd like to clarify, or should I clarify?
I think what we propose is that everybody gets one chance to speak for 5 minutes and then gets a chance to speak second for 2 minutes. Is that not our rule, our loose rules here?
Those are very loose. There, I thought something over. Oh, second time, but we're done.
That would be on,
Rules now.
that would be on me, the chair. I should have went to Councilor One first before I went to Councilor Thompson.
We talked to them, having these rules, but I don't think we ever said it's a policy. So.
I will let Councilor One finish since she was already halfway through this evening, but I would like to say, Councilor Parker, that you are correct, that we do have to get our rules in order. That was my mistake, and I'll let you finish.
I think we didn't said anyone, it's just that there's more than one chalet, and we have lots of bed and breakfast and an enormous number of Airbnbs. And that's why I think it's important that they do get registered. A lot of them are registered, but I like to see all the Airbnbs registered because I know we have them together. For sure. Secondly, this is a student choice. They're all members of these, and they do support what Dean's is trying to promote. And as far as the workload is going to put on staff, we do tax receipts for a number of small, we saw that tonight from the people from, who tax them a month to accommodate the tax receipts for it. So I don't think we're against, it's not something that's not overload. I really think we're going to overload our system. I think it's for a very good cost, and then again, they are not profit organization, so I think we should try and help them too, as much as I do for them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor One. I wasn't speaking that, but that's okay. I guess we're ready for a vote then. Councillor ready? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Councillor nay. Nays, raise your hand, please. 3.
Aye.
5. Wait, names 5.
Wait, oh,
Okay. Wayne, your name, can you please confirm?
Yeah, I'm for it.
4. Okay. So you're, okay, so he's for it, okay? So there's 4 nays. Okay, motion carried. All right, next we have the capital budget survey results. We all had a survey in our package, and we were not ranking it. We're just asking if it was viable for this year, or it should be postponed and looked at in another year. We got the results here. Brian, would you like to discuss?
So the results of the survey, the water meter replacement, and the hillside lift station were basically unanimous that they should be considered as part of the capital plan. And then going down to the Eureka, Abercrombie, sidewalk flow meters, the administration building renovations, and Blue Acre sidewalk design. So all of those in the majority that they should be considered as part of the plan. And on the other side, the ones that should be deferred for future consideration. The water in Churchill, Little Harbor sidewalk, the broader municipal building expansion, Stanley Drive paving project, and sidewalk. So those are the ones that in the plan should be considered as part of the plan. And those also in the plan would be the internet project would be in the Salem water, the wastewater and all the projects. Capital fund. So that's basically what the results of the survey show. I guess the part, what are the, I guess, overall priorities? Part is necessarily here. Some of these will just by time where we're at in fiscal year. The 3 sidewalk projects would not just the time for construction to get that done this current fiscal year. So all consideration. the water meter replacement could be done this year. I believe that they are working on it now. I mean, yeah, the flow meters for Eric, that is year 2, so that is next year. We've already budgeted capital revenue for the first year, so that would be next year. The municipal administration building renovations can be started in this fiscal. I believe include in the next 6 months, but it could be certainly started in the Eureka pumping station that could be done this year, and hillside lift station improvements could also be.
So there's no further voting, we don't, we're not going to go to phase 2 the way that I understood it before. Phase 2 is right, we don't want to do that. You've got all the information you needed from that previous one.
I guess there isn't, at this point, there isn't a priority established for these. I think my previous comments is probably realistic. What can happen at this point in time. But there isn't a necessarily established priority of the results. Maybe do establish the priority of them. The letter unanimous, I think that's probably a very good indication that and so should move forward.
I just a little bit more, yeah. Councilor Boyles?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, the hillside pump station there or whatever. When Edmonds, the engineer here, that it approved in a meeting, replaced the pumps and it passed at the meeting. And she wondered whatever happened there. I mean, that was all passed and it's supposed to be done. And we're still on the block trying to get something done. Just wondering, me, it's something that was passed at council to be done. It never was.
Logan's going to answer that. Go ahead, Logan.
Thank you, Councilor Boyles. Chair, Councilor. What we've looked at doing is doing some linear study. We were started this year, so we can make better recommendations on the actual infrastructure replacements. What we don't want to do, what we found since I've been the engineer, is that we needed additional information to know exactly how this infrastructure should be replaced. We don't want to replace it with $50,000 pumps, let's say, that may get burnt out or not be required. So if we want to do the legwork up front, make those recommendations and look at the action improvements that we need so that we don't end up in a situation where you're good money after bad. So taking some additional study, we did some of that work this year. We've been moving with the information that we got to tendering, to completing a new tender with that information, if that makes sense.
That makes sense, but the only thing that doesn't make sense to me is that when it comes to the pumps. Pumps have already been passed, it's already passed through council, it's already passed with the new one. So as I say, when it comes to the pumps, you need pumps, I don't think you have to back to council because it's already been passed. Anything else, yeah, maybe, but pumps passed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Boyles. Lord Parker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So yeah, a lot of these are fairly straightforward, the ones that we are listed under consider, the ones that people thought we should go ahead and do, and most of our repairing sidewalks, or in the case of that flow meters under Eric, we're being hung up to dry right now by some of the other municipalities. We're not having this done now. It's supposed to be done 13 years ago, and why isn't it done? And they want us to do it all now. Well, we only budgeted for half this year because of the things of our budget. This is the other half. There's not a whole lot of choices on that one either, but they're all fairly strong numbers on them anyway. I have a question on the sidewalks and Blue Acres. Start by saying I'm not against putting sidewalks and Blue Acres, but I'm concerned about price. The price there that we voted on, and what is that price for the double? Is that still, I think people made a decision on what the cost was going to be at 300,000. I think if that comes in with the safety things that have to be done at 600 or 700 or 800 or whatever, I think we have to remember the vote on it was based on that 300,000 number. If I compare that with the standard drive paving, again, the number that was there, 450,000, I think it was, just for our half. I think that number again affects the vote that came in on that, and then it also affects the people in the area. They weren't ready to accept that either at that high price. So all of these have a price, or those two in particular have a price attached to them. I think people look at that and say, well, at that price, I can support that. But I know this is not a final decision to go ahead. It says design there, which I think we've already proved the design before and have that on the way. But at 300,000, I think it's a good buy. Go ahead and do it. If it doubles or goes up by 200,000, how do we handle that? Where the vote on it was based on 300,000. If I compare it to the standard one, the vote was somewhat based on, well, that's just too high a cost to pay that short piece. So I guess I'll ask that question to you, Madam Chair, to our CAO, when will it know a final price? And what happens then? I guess is it just probably approve that, or do we have to look at it then based on?
So every one of these projects has a budget estimate with. So as you move forward in various, I guess, components of the project, there will always be a review back to that budget. Budget number is not right, then the project isn't properly financed, so council will have to reevaluate the financing of it.
Is that bigger game?
Right. So if it comes in at 600,000 and our approved budget is 300,000, we have a problem. And council is the only one that can fix that problem. Right? So they would have to reevaluate the financing of it. Either put more money into it, identify the cost sharing. No different than our sewer projects that are on the books today. The water projects, they are on the capital plan. They're budgeted, and the scenarios that show is that they don't advance unless there's cost sharing. So it's a similar process, right? For each of the projects. So ultimately come back to that council has to decide, yes, we're willing to change that financing figure or come up with a different.
Okay. Any other final comments or questions? So just to be sure this will come back to us again through the budget. That's only the next time we see these.
Correct. So we can put the kind of the capital plan together for you with the financing options and just like that.
And okay, Councilor Murray has his virtual hand up. Good. Go ahead, Councilor Murray.
Thank you, and having quite a job hearing this, but I just wondered, I think Brian just touched on it. I'd like to see the CAO and staff go back and look at the recommendations that we did and see what we could do in this fiscal year and how we would finance that and take it back to our next meeting. I would move that if that would be appropriate to do so as a motion.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Everybody hear the motion? Any final comments or questions on that motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carried. Okay, so next we're going to move on to our J-class subdivision street paving funding. As you see that we received a memo. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. We received confirmation from Laura Cunningham at the province with capital programming, cost share agreement, both cost overruns and concerning the cost overruns of Second Avenue paving, Hattie Lane paving, and repaving. Speak on that, Brian?
Yeah, no, the numbers are there. Tender amount, the original estimates, and the new tender amount. So as the cover letter says, anything over 10%, they do have to come back and to sign off on it. We had budgeted 360. So it's
So we have a decision to make tonight.
whether we proceed with these at the cost overrun. Turn down projects.
So the first one was over by 7,000, the next one 26, Hattie Lane, and then the last one is an increase of 118,000. Okay, go ahead, Councilor Parkman.
I would make a motion that we agree to accept these. Reality is today most tenders are higher than expected. Two, we can turn these down. It's like turning down those amounts, products. That's more than we had hoped for, but it's not way out of left field. The average is 21% higher than we had anticipated. It's not uncommon today when we tender a project to get bids that are 58, 9%. I will make a motion that we can accept them as presented.
Okay, seconded. Councilor Murray, do you have another question?
No, I'm sorry. I know how
That's
to
okay.
get the hand up, but I don't know how to take it down.
Try to get back down. Okay. Go ahead, Warden Parker.
Don't necessarily disagree with the motion, but I just want to ask about the different ones. Were these all put forward from this council?
It's those were here.
Those were our three. So on this Hattie Lane, tell me how we were Hattie Lane.
Church.
In Churchville, and then how many people live on? 10 homes. And so the other, well, obviously has a lot more homes on it. How many homes will be on that?
Right, please down.
It's a thoroughfare too, right? Street, the senior citizens, that's the part of the school, the rank. That's up.
Second Avenue is where? Regal. And it has how many homes on from Fifth Road? I guess what I'm looking at is, we at budget time, we said everything was essentially 10 cents and you rub together. So we have to come up with how many new dollars did you say? Sure.
225, and so like another 151,000.
So, is it worth looking at saying, let's not do them all? To save some of that money, or, you know, where are we gonna cut down to 50,000? I guess that's, we're just gonna say, yeah, let's go ahead with it's 150,000 higher. You know, I'm just wondering how we're handling that financially, or should we look at, one or two of them going on to next year? And only having, you know, we're always the one with the most on it, then maybe deal with that one, but perhaps if somebody can answer the question where the 150,000 would come from. Or is it a possibility to not do all three? You know, is it a package, you have to do all three or nothing, or could we, drop one or two to go with the most used? 60,000 more for all three. Okay, I thought I heard the word 150. And again, where would 60 come from? There's one night something else come up, I forget what it was now, or the budget time, but now we'll do it this year. I don't know if it's a sign or what it was or something. We said, no, we'll do it because there's no more money. Is there more money now? I guess it's always reserved, how long we can back it. Where's the 60 come from? We're just gonna come up to 60,000 out of somewhere.
At this point, I don't think we can say that we have slippage in the operating budget to necessarily cover it. Let's see. Six. Now, so by year end, maybe have that up, otherwise it is a transfer. Reserve.
Would it be an idea to say Second Avenue, which seems to be the one that has the least homes on it, push that ahead next year? So, well, that's more than enough because that's 60,000, but well, it's gonna be right around. Is that feasible? Can we do that? Put one ahead because of that? Rather than just say we're gonna come up with it somewhere?
That would be an option. I will say, we don't know what this program will look like next year. Certainly through the month of August, all the calls, the province were very clear that the J-class program doesn't work, and they'd like to see it disappear. So that is a possibility.
You haven't heard that from the municipality. I'm just putting it out there as an idea. If everybody's in favor of the motion, then you don't need that. We just have, I just like to know where the 60,000. Or we go to. I guess there is no clear answer.
There is no clear answer at this point. It would be necessary, it would be balance from reserve.
This motion on the floor, then I think.
Go ahead, Council Boyles.
I just want to have to have these roads are. Are they roads that can wait to be done next year or something, or are they really desperate to be done? There's a big question there that could solve the problem.
Go ahead, Council Bond, you want to speak to the road in your district?
Speaking of new roads, the new road's been on this the last 3 years. They've been put through this year. It's been in dire straits for a number of years, so there's a lot of traffic, it's through traffic, it's going to school, over rent and everything like that, so it is in dire straits, I can speak to that.
All right, so there is a motion on the floor. Seeing no other comments or questions, motion to fund these three projects, proceed with the projects. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary-minded, nay.
Nay.
Nays, raise your hand, please. 3 nays. Motion carried. Okay, next we'll move on to our 2023-24 J-Class road selection of J-Class roads in need of paving. So this is, we have a list here. We do have a memo. There is 2 roads remaining on the priority list, which is Park Lane in Plymouth and Blackie Road in Lions Brook. Since your Park Lane in Plymouth will not be considered by the department as eligible under the program, I'll turn it over to you, Brian, to shine some more light on this.
So these are, last year we had submitted the 5 roads for consideration. The 3 we just dealt with, Blackie Road, Park Lane, the state that department says Park Lane is not eligible. They will not consider that. Sure. Basically, they're not sure the right way actually exists. So that's really the reason. They're not, so the only road that would be eligible based on our previous priority list would be Blackie Road in Lions Brook. If there are other roads on the list, that anybody thinks is the dire strait that should be submitted, that can be done. The deadline we get them is the end of October. The roads are listed there by year that they were worked on. So some of the older ones, 1999. It was put on. There was, again, during the conversations in August, comments made by the department basically saying they weren't looking to put new asphalt down because they couldn't maintain what they had. So only if the roads that are currently unpaved will probably always remain that way.
There's a list for gravel. I have a couple of roads that could use some gravel. Councilor Palmer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I know, I was saying, oh, Jesus, so speaking in, but I didn't watch J-Class roads in my district.
Have to pay.
Huh?
Have to pay.
They paved the Greenwood Street and the old road at the same time that they Clark. It's done by the same contract from Route 347. Clarkville was repaved 2 years ago or 3 years ago. 47 was paved last year. The old road, the new road, or sorry, the Greenwood Street, the old road are in bad shape. And Greenwood Street runs from Route 347 to Thornton Road. The old road runs from Thornton Road to Marshall. I'd like to make a motion to put those 2 roads on the list. I know they said the J-Class roads program doesn't work, but I think some municipalities are using this program. And if they had to use, especially Colchester had from the teams meeting that we had there, it sounded like they and I know from being involved with public works that we were the only municipality, Cumberland and Colchester, took interested in this program. Whereas if you look at the Western District, and maybe they had insights, I'm not sure when the roads committee was set up, but Western District paved 130 J-Class roads in 2020. So that doesn't tell you something. Somebody knew something was going on. We had 3 roads up. Next year we had 1, they had 75. So when you talk about giving away the J class road, going to the GHI J class roads, that's what I was saying. Well, Western is way ahead of us. I don't know why the government thinks this is fair, that we have 25% more those class roads than any other district. And they want us to be responsible for these roads. So if it's roads, it should be maintained by the province. And as far as I am, I'd like to see the J class program stay, because I think the other municipalities still interested in it, and there's a little bit more funding. At one time, there was only $1 million. And they added $2 million. And 2020, there's funny things going on there. I don't know where it all came from. Anyway, I think this is a good program, and I think that that we should stay with it. I think the province should stay with it. Because it does take care of those roads that probably never get done, we can cost share. I'd like to make that motion.
Second.
Okay, we'll second it for those two roads. Gordon Parker.
I'm certainly not against doing those roads, the council for the area, and I was needed for sure, and, but I'd like to have some idea what the costs would be, so that next year we're not in the same position as we are tonight of, you know, well, we're short of money, we need more money to do it. We seem to approve roads, but I really don't know how much they're gonna cost us until the next year, and I know maybe they can't tell us the total cost, but, going by what the average is each year before, we should go pretty well guess where the cost would be. So if we were to do the two roads in Council Conway area, plus the Blackie Road in Lions Brook. Got any feel at all for what the cost of those roads would be, all different lengths and different conditions and everything? It'd be nice to not have some idea of what the cost would be, rather than be in the same place next year as we are tonight saying, well, here they are. Do we get a cost before we say yes to the project?
Yeah, so you submit now what your priorities are. In the spring, they make the determination of which roads are to be funded. And they provide you the estimate at that point, the cost estimate. And then that issues, you basically go to tender. And so we typically budget what they tell us. And then that's where the plus or minus 10% comes in, or if you're plus 10%. If it's over that 10%, then you have to be fixed within the 10%.
In my memory, we've always done about 3 roads a year, sometimes 4.
It varies.
Yeah, with these 3 we're talking about now, fit, do you think within sort of the same financial envelope as this year's 3, or, you know, not knowing the length and condition of them? We're just picking the number and saying let's do 3 roads, but, I'm just curious. We have no idea when we pick them what the cost is going to be. Other than when they send us their number, we can turn them down.
Yeah.
So,
It varies so much, the estimate that they give you, or the cost per kilometer can vary across roads, like it's not uniform.
Depends on the conditions. Now, I'm not against the motion that Council Collins, but I'd rather see us have more firmness on what we're voting for in terms of price. But I guess we do get a second kick at the can in the spring to say, no, if we don't know what our budget situation will be or anything for another year, but by that time, we sort of already said we're going to do these like we are tonight. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Councillor Elliott. Thank you. Not that this road is going to be considered, but it's an unpaved road. That's on here as Ocean View Crescent. It says Cape John. It's not in Cape John. It's right on Highway 6. And it's to Beach Street Drive is to the west of it, and Sierra Court it's to the east of it. And it's right on the Sunrise Trail. So I just wanted to correct it in case in the future we are considering these if that's possible. Okay, thank you for that. Updated. Councilor Thompson.
This kind of list, this supply list was on, but is this list generated by us?
Yeah, so this is based on. The list comes from the province.
Right, so Park Lane is on this list and I totally get, there's a whole bunch of issues why that came looked at. But it's caused confusion for the residents. They think this road should have some attention from the province or the municipality because it keeps ending up on this list. What they actually need is a culvert and a gravel. That's all they need to fix that road. But it's in no man's land right now. So I don't know how to fix that. And there's a lot of homes on this road. The village road. It's a dead end, but it has issues with right of way width and all that good stuff, but they're frustrated out there because there's craters bigger than what you'd see on the moon in that road. Nobody wants to take ownership or pay for it. That's the challenge they face. So I feel for them.
There are others on the list that are in that same boat. They basically say don't submit it for capital.
I guess my comment is that when a resident goes to the Department of Transportation or the MLA's office, get a list of J-class roads, they see that this one's on. And then they go after their counselor and they say, why aren't you getting fixed? But every time it comes, the department will not consider it.
They won't consider capital, so they will not consider it for paving or chip seal or asphalt.
Right.
If there are maintenance issues, they should be addressing maintenance issues.
Suggest that maybe the municipality should write a letter to the province. About a little money. They did some work at in the entrance to the road, but they only went as far as the right way off the main road. And it's devouring cars right now, so they're not even going fast. Anyways, there's a bit of confusion there, and I feel for the residents on that road.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Thompson. I just have a question here before I get to you, Mr. Warman. This program date, that's the year that a councillor suggested it be on the list? Is that what that means?
That's the year that we actually cost share is the province for paving.
So that 1999, for example, Station Road, Village Streets, Hopewell.
And paved in 99, 50%.
I was still in high school. Like that's a long time ago. Street's still good though, that's all that matters. It just seems to me, I was confused because I thought that we've been asking for that to be done since 1999. I was thinking that's a long time. So my next question would be, do we have somebody, since these are J-class roads, do we keep records of their maintenance or where they're at, or do we have any of that, or no?
All we have is when we cost shared in the capital program, maintenance is the responsibility of the province of Nova Scotia to say.
Or director?
I just wanted to add, Madam Chair, Councilor Thompson, Dr. Lane or whatever. In the future, if the government gets its way with this new, they'll say to us, yes, we'll go in and fix it, we'll cost share with you to fix it. But at the end of the day, you want it. So that's the road that we're heading down here, is so that, and this is what we told them on the phone calls or whatever, the internet calls, was the pressure's gonna come on whether Councilor Thompson or any of the rest of the pressure's gonna come that you fellas can do something about it now under the new rules. We're just waiting for the municipality to sign on the dotted line, and we'll be ready to look after your road. And after we're all done, stay on the road. That's the road we're heading down, and it's the pressure is going to come on councilors why can't you pay my roads? I called the roads and they said, sure, as long as the municipality agrees, we'll pay the road. So why don't you guys agree? And the dangerous path of going down is going to put a lot of extra pressure, as the one Park Lane is talking about. Yeah, we're ready to fix it up now, and give it back to you, Will, so now on anything is yours. So I think that points out an example to me of just how bad this idea is. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, and we're gonna finish it off with Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to the board's points, those 3 roads that were put on this list will be cost far more than the 3 that we have on this year. So I'll tell you that, but at least we get them on the list, and if the J-class road program still goes, maybe do 1 or 2 next year and 1 the next year, whatever, so. But it will cost more. The problem with the J-class road program, okay, is that we don't get notified till the spring or the summer that these are the roads. So they don't go to tender until late. What's happened is contractors are so busy that they'll throw higher bidding if they get they'll do it. So the program, we could have now that, yeah, we'll do those 3 roads and then tender in the wintertime, in the springtime, you get a better price. But with the price of fuel going up, diesel and everything like that, it's hard to give you an accurate estimate cost of what to pay these roads. So that is always, I don't know, right? Every month we get a thing saying it's up 34%, or sometimes it's up 60%. So you have to pay the contractor the escalation, de-escalations. The other point is, and it was mentioned on the teams meeting that we had on the road issue, that they promised did say we have so many roads down, can't afford to pay the gravel roads. And I agree, we shouldn't be looking at paving any of the roads. The gravel is staying as far as I'm concerned. Just more they get, we won't pay for it in the future. We can't maintain what we have now, so why add to it? And but what was funny with that team's call, that promised that all of you have gravel road that you want, we'll pay it for you, but you take ownership of it. We'll pay 100%, but afterwards you guys take ownership. That didn't make sense to me when they tell us that we had too many roads paid down, but they want to add to it. So, but anyway, I just wanted to put that across that, you know, we have these roads, we submit these, we get an estimate, we only do 1 road, because we only do 1 road. Hopefully, I'd like to see J-class program happen for next year.
So just to clarify the motion, we're going to add the addition to Blackie Road in Linesbrook, so that would be first, but in addition to that, the motion is Greenwood Street and Old Road. That we submit them for the J-class program. Call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary nay.
Aye.
Motion carried. With that, I call the meeting adjourned.
Okay, nobody thought so, but that's in 5 minutes. First of all, I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we're in the Mi'kmaq, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Next is approval of the agenda. So I got a T group, second by Councillor Dave Parker. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Count nay, motion carried. Next is emergency resolutions. Are there any emergency resolutions? Councillor Dave Parker.
You need to make a resolution like this mission did take care of something.
Still, yes. Make that motion. Is there any emergency resolutions? Is there any emergency resolution? Here none, we'll move on. Is there any errors or omissions, corrections to the minutes of August 21st, 2000? Errors or omissions, corrections? Any errors, omissions, corrections? Seeing none, we'll consider those minutes approved. Next is reports. First one is the Public Works and Development Officer's report. Councilor Bowles. Good. Elliot, all those, any questions on those report? Seeing none. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. On my name, motion carried. Next is the building inspection report. Councilman Keel. Councilor Martin. I'm struggling with names here. But, sorry with that. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Tell my name. Motion carried. Next is bylaw and law control officers report. Councilor Bowles.
I'll second.
That question, Councilor Gore. Councilor Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I brought this up at the last meeting, committee meeting as well. Is that the information on this is just so vague. I asked this question. Last question at the last meeting was, I know I have an extension Mount William property. We go to dates to comply, it says new info. It doesn't tell you what new info is. And that was going to be addressed, and that's still there. And I just find this report so vague and so if you could find out the reason that says new info, send me.
Slow down.
Yeah, I can speak to it right now. Thank you. Mr. Chair, to you, to everybody. The revisions to this reporting format are work in progress. I've met with the law enforcement officer. We are working on changing that to make it easily navigable, I guess. The specific question related to 229 with our allowed extension is that cleanup had started at that property. Then it stalled. The law enforcement officer speaking with the owner. We're going to be speaking with the owner this week to confirm that project plan that actually gets done. So expect further updates to come.
Anybody else? Seeing none. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. On my name, motion carries. This is the development officers. So moved. Councilor Butler. Second by Councilor Elliott. Is there any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried. Next is the Green Hill boundary change. Decision has to be needed to approve the boundary change back in Green Hill State subdivision. If that be package, I would you want to.
So the 5th point, it is basically the GSA boundary cuts through the property. So the plan, what is proposed here is just to move the GSA boundary and follow property lines. So shift suddenly. There is future. This is, I'll say, step one, because there are future or pending subdivisions in that area, which could affect the boundary again. I think that this fixes it for what we had on up now. So it's basically we'll put that development all in one GSA.
Gordon Parker.
I know what this development is, but the proposed boundary line, I don't see any distances there, whether this 100 yards or whatever, maybe I'm not saying, but I guess it's a scale, it's so 100 meters. But what does it really do? The question is, it aimed at keeping it all in the mid of Green Hill or what?
Ultimately, that's what it does. It puts it in the community of Green Hills, goes down.
As opposed to Allen, which makes a difference, I guess, to somebody building there, that you're going up the Green Hill Road, you live in Green Hill, not in Allen, I guess. It's not against it, I'm not sure what it's accomplishing, but I guess it's a planning thing that's, I know they're planning on building a lot more homes there or subdivisions, but, desires to have all the Green Hills rather than, you know.
Yeah, and in essence, there will be a road in there, I believe, right? Which you would have one side of the road being
Green Hill.
right? So that's part of the adjustments.
And does this have to be okayed by all the property owners, or is it all owned by the people that are doing the development?
It's a recommendation from our civic interesting with GIS. So that's it. So it doesn't affect anybody's civic interest or anything.
Doesn't affect other people, that we're not gonna be able to come back and the same way you change for their. Okay, thank you.
Councilman Peel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. For me, this just keeps things nice and clean and so you can have your property not in one community and half the other, and we look at the states, the streets and stuff, one side of the street would be on one community and the other side would be on the other. So for me, I think this is clear and concise and a no-brainer. So I make a motion that we accept this boundary change affecting Green Hill Estate subdivision.
Who was that? So they are. My question is to Brian. My question is for Brian. You said there are other subdivisions planned in this area. Are they further east? You don't have to change the speed again, or? But the movement here is east.
Yeah, I'll let him answer that. He's more familiar with the Penn.
Yeah, thanks, Brian, and for you, Parker. So there is a significant proposed concept plan for this entire lot. You'll notice in the sketch, we have a road on the left-hand side, and then there's a road, well, it's planned to be a road in the future between Civics 212 and 198. So the proposed overall, we have a phase 2. What you see there is a phase 1 that's already been subdivided. There's a phase 2 that's currently under development, under planning with myself and our development officer with the applicant for additional lots to the west of that Ashwood Street is shown. But the subsequent phases would move it further east. And the idea here is that this lot, the Civics 212, 218, and 228, currently on Green Hill Road, are in the community of Green Hill. We couldn't change this entire PID to be within Green Hill, or sorry, those PIDs rather 212, 218, and 228 are within the community of Alma. So we couldn't change the overall PID, the remainder PID, to all be within Green Hill or Alma, because that future road would then potentially divide the sections of Alma. So it would be Alma, then Green Hill, then Alma, again. So as this development continues, when they look, if and when the developer looks to subdivide in the east with their secondary road, which would be required for their phase 3, we would negotiate with the developer at that point over which properties would then become part of the community of Alma and which properties become within the community. So there are subdivision plans, phase 2 right now going to the west, phase 3 would have to go to the east. So we expect that the final decisions about the community boundaries will happen at probably at the 3rd phase, looking at what they have currently.
Close to this change, it would make more sense to simply draw a line behind those parcetics to their property line and the whole thing at once, but I guess we'll let them worry with that in the future.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? See nothing? Oh, let's go.
Thank you. I was waiting for you to say community announcements, wasn't that what you wanted me to say something about?
We have motion before, let's just don't go through that.
Okay, you do that right now.
Yes.
I like to say
Questions been called for. All those favors, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nobody nay. Motion carried. Next is community announcements.
It's not very sharp, but anyway, I just wanted to bring it up, which I already did. About Honorable Roy Hines passing away. He's the minister, plans and floors, and the minister for transportation. There was no Scotian in the previous government. He did a lot, as far as I'm concerned, to help British County Springville for District 11. So that was absolutely never going to happen, but it did happen. So, and anybody that I knew down the country, guys, working people's up people person and trying the hardest he could to hook up for people. So anyway, it's like all the rest of us. It's good points and bad points. But anyway, we've been elected a lot of times. So anyway, I just think the municipality, Pickett County should send us the correspondence of the turn, send the or something to the family. Quite nice. Thank you.
Make that motion or just the rest makes it just great. Okay, Councilor Wallace.
Yeah, September 23rd is Saturday coming, and the Sea Titans, MC Mount William, the ride for the burn survivors. What it is they just let their club rooms be used for the UC is held at the Lanacy Fire Hall, and this year they're going to hold it at the Sea Titans Mount William. It's started 2555 Western Road in Glasgow. Doors open at 10 a.m. Kickstands up at noon. Prizes and barbecue. The pledges go towards the Burn Treatment Society summer camp for burn survivors at Camp Connect. And Stephen D. Stork, they put this on every year. They're asking if the councilors are around at 10 a.m. You don't go here 10 a.m. Steve was talking and he said they got there around 11. There's going to be a barbecue going on, and before the lights take off at 12, and they asked the warden and any councilors that could show up with support for the society, and again the barbecue and everything. So if anybody can make it out that day, it'd be appreciated. They would really like it. Thank you.
Okay. Gordon Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Did you say that was at 255 Westall Road?
2555.
35. I don't know where I'm trying to go, but I'm not sure where that is.
It's right across from County Service Station. Is it?
Oh, right there, a little lumber mill.
One they don't pay the tax.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll bring it up for donations.
Not the sea tax. The only
I realize that. But that was my main question here. I wanted to add to what Councilor Brewer said, with Lloyd Hines. You mentioned the bridge in Springville and some others, but that roundabout in Abercrombie, we didn't expect to get that roundabout as quick as we did. I mean, we had some sessions and stuff, at the Abercrombie Fire Hall, and Councilor Turner and others were there. But it looked like a longer road before we get there. We said we'd keep it at the top of our list. But all of a sudden, just before the election, last year, bang, it happened. And it probably already saved a life. You never know when the lives are saved, you know when they're lost, but you never know when they're saved. So I gave, Mr. Hines credit for that. And, you can see, Councilor Dever speak well of the Liberal member of the House. It's good to see. He doesn't often throw flowers to the other side of the aisle, but, no, and the other thing I wanted to, mention when I had the mic was, we had an excellent turnout at the exhibition. I don't know, I haven't heard any financial numbers yet or anything, but it all depends on the turnout for sure. Thankfully, although the extra people won't agree with me, but, the exhibition was a week before the hurricane this year, instead of the week off, which we got the Dorian. So hopefully their financial figures are good and that'll keep them going for another year, but everybody seemed to be having a good time and everything went on schedule, I think, and, so, I thank everybody that was able to be there and, support them. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Councilor Naismith.
The education subcommittee of the Context Committee is planning meeting in Lisbon. 3 possible dates yet, October 34th and 5th. We're waiting for Dr. Kim Webster to confirm the date in February. This is a rerun of the meeting that was held in River on the 16th of August. Postal erosion. I would ask that as soon as I have a date to add, I will get it to you so you can publish it on our Adam website. That will be it could be as early as the next night after council. Third. Second. One. Sort of give that. And also early in October. Also, I'm committee, we have our free giveaway on the Saturday morning. That's scheduled to be done from the parking lot at the once. Don't got the names. I was supposed to man a table at the last farmer park on Saturday, that I declined. I took a shower in my regular location. But I will be there this weekend, weather permitting.
October 2nd is a holiday.
Okay, then I'm going to the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th. Yeah, thank you. I also noted today we received notice, same fellow, Dr. Kim Webster's going to have one of these there, coffee and learning sessions that will October 18th or something. I've already heard it twice. Already heard it the third time. Thank you.
For community announcements. Seeing none. All meeting to be adjourned.
Good night from Cape Breton.
Yeah.